welcome to Vlogmas Day 2. I have to say I've been a little bit in a slump, but I thought, you know what? This is something I wanted to film for quite a while, so better we get started with it. I got myself a little cup of tea with this very cute gingerbread man that I got from my sister a few years ago, and it's still something that makes me so happy to see it. So take that as a sign to get yourself a lovely cup of tea, and then we're getting started with talking about goals. I think December and the time through Christmas is the time where we mostly like to dream and to think about the new year and making maybe new goals and thinking about who we would like to become or what we would like to achieve, what we would like to do more of, or what we really would like to stop. And while 2025 goals are so important, I'm really looking forward to talk about them as well. I feel like looking at all the achievements I have made in this year also need like a little bit of a spotlight. So this is what this video is about. I wanted to kind of like tell you a bit more about the goals that I have achieved this year. Maybe what has worked the most for me to reaching it, or even just like having some learnings from doing it and achieving it. I haven't achieved all my goals. I had like around, I'm not sure, maybe I had like 12, and I have kind of like discarded a few in the process. But I would say I had in the end 10 goals and I've reached 9 of them. And I mean, a 90% success rate is absolutely amazing. You know how we talk about New Year's resolutions and how most of us kind of like discard them within like 2 weeks. I mean, this is a very universal experience that a lot of people have, and isn't like the 17th of January is kind of like that day where most people have given up already, and I used to be one of them, and I just didn't know how to be consistent with something, and that has changed this year. I can say a bit about how I actually did that, and I would say the biggest change is how I talk to myself. I've learned to celebrate myself way more, and with that, because you will need this kind of very nurturing inner voice when it starts to get difficult. Like after the 2 weeks when the motivation has worn off, that's where you actually need exactly this voice that kind of like keeps you going and saying, okay, you fell off the wagon, you didn't do that perfectly anymore, we're gonna try tomorrow again, gonna with the next thing, we're gonna be back tomorrow and we're gonna continue with it. And also having this voice of, when you see over time this is not working, okay, maybe we need a new strategy. But I've been a person who has been very like all or nothing. I wanted to do programs perfectly, following like workout programs, or reading a book and completely want to do it step by step in the perfect way, and obviously that never happened, and sometimes also was really rebellious or just did like self-sabotage, I would say. And talking in a different way to myself, and also having like probably the first 3 months where I went to therapy and also had my therapist kind of like helping me along, staying on track for one goal for a longer period, really gave me the confidence, seeing like, oh, you can actually achieve goals. There's no flaw with you. This is just practice that you hadn't before, and kind of like seeing over the year how this got stronger and stronger. And now I'm ending this year knowing that the goals I have for next year, maybe I won't achieve all of them, but I'm pretty sure I will achieve most of them. And I feel very confident. And I have to say, I've never felt so confident going into a new year with my goals, because I would always feel very motivated, very excited, and then I would give up. So that has changed. So let's go into talking a bit about the goals that I have achieved this year. So the first goal I've achieved was to read 24 books. This is actually a goal that I have had for several years now, and I totally exceeded. Like, I'm not finished yet with the year, but I think I've read 53 or 54 books, and I probably will end at 56 or 57. Maybe I can do 57 because I think that would be my new record. But I have been working on that like since 2017. That's when I started with Goodreads, and there you can like set a goal for every year, how many books you want to read. And I started quite small. I think I started with 12 books in 2017, and then I kind of like went from there. And now when I look at how I can transfer what I have been doing there to other goals, it's all about developing habits that just stick with you, and then it's so much easier like to from going from a very small goal to like I still have like a small goal, but I exceeded in such a big way, and it is really easy for me to read 50 books a year. Like I wouldn't say that it's a big challenge, and if I'm honest, I probably could read double, probably, because like all the time I'm just watching TV or scrolling, I could be reading. So yeah, if it was a goal, it isn't. I'm totally fine with reading 2 books per month. That's like all I need. And but it's really fascinating to see how this has changed and developed, and how it's got bigger and bigger over the years. My second goal was to move my body for 300 minutes. For that, I really needed a habit tracker and track every time I didn't count like walking to work from the bus stop, but I counted everything that I did extra. If I stopped like a bus stop earlier, I counted all my hiking, my workouts, going for a podcast walk, everything that was kind of like extra, I counted into my habit goal. And I reached it already in July, but I had to continue with it, especially because I knew in winter it's a bit more tricky for me to reach it. So I still had to kind of like work on it. And it's maybe, although I won't be like a goal for 2025, it's still kind of like it's a bit like the reading goal. I don't put it on the list anymore, but it's still one that it's just more like a goal that achieves itself because the habits are in place, so it makes it really easy. I would say you just have to find something that you really enjoy doing. I tried different YouTube workouts. I've been to the gym. Currently I'm working out with Camino Frances, who is a plus size personal trainer, and I just love working out with her. I realized how important it is to find like a fitness or movement program that really works for you, something that you enjoy. But if you train with somebody like on YouTube or in personal, it has to fit. I just realized how often I did YouTube workouts where the level was just too high. I could see that I was so far behind. That felt very frustrating. While doing workouts with Kamoya, I really see, okay, this is my level at the moment, and I feel like sometimes I can do a little bit more, and that's great. But when you all the time see how far you still have to go, that can be very demotivating. Next goal that I achieved was to go to therapy once a week and also practice regulating my nervous system. I would say without that, all this would have been possible. I mean, I've grown so much going to therapy, but also using all the things that I've learned at the personal development school, kind of like using the tools that I learned there, and then taking it also to therapy and discussing things. But on a basis, you need to have a regulated nervous system. So there's an app called NeuroFit. They have like a 6-week program that I did already the year before, and I'm still doing it every day. In the morning I do the exercises, and it has helped me to feel way more stable, less like an emotionally roller coaster, and I think that has helped a lot in achieving the other goals. For therapy, I went with BetterHelp. I had therapy for a year there, and I know there's quite a lot of like also negative reviews about BetterHelp. I had an amazing experience, and I would recommend it to everyone who maybe is not able to pay an in-person therapist, give it a try, I would say. I definitely can recommend it. Then another goal that I achieved was to stop overeating. This has been something that, if you have followed this channel, has been a problem for a very, very long time. I have really struggled with it, and I felt like this year I finally cracked the code. It doesn't mean that I never overeat, but like the quantity and the frequency is so low that it's totally fine. I know normal people also overeat, that's totally fine. But it was mostly that I was regularly overeating every week with quite a lot of quantity of food, and that has changed so much. I would say having a regulated nervous system was kind of like the basis for it. Learning to name your feelings, feeling them without reacting on like eating something, and then learning also to dismiss urges would be like the three things that have helped me the most. I had an urge jar where I could put like a coffee bean in there every time I managed to allow urge without eating, and I'm definitely gonna do a second round with that. There's sometimes like habits that kind of like creeping back, so I will do that, but I would say these are the things that have helped me the most. When I was at the personal development school, I learned so much, and I decided, having all this material that I got there, that I kind of like wanted to have theme months for different parts of their course material, like learning to reparent yourself, having healthy relationships, conflict management, somatic processing, shadow work. There are quite a lot of things that you can learn at this school. I would recommend it to actually everybody. I usually just use like 1 or 2 hours per month for working on these things, but just reviewing it on a regular basis really helped to that some things really settled in, and that I had time to practice them, and like combining that with therapy was a really good approach. Last year at this time I felt very lonely, had a tough time, and felt very lost, and it was hard to actually go anywhere, like go to work, feeling like I had nothing to look forward to. And I realized that my social network had decreased tremendously. It had also changed, but it's also had decreased, and so I set myself a goal of finding 4 new friends. I would say I haven't accomplished 4 new friends, but I have made new friends, and I have managed to deepen some of my previous friendships that I kind of like were a bit more loose, and I hadn't seen the people that often, and that has also changed. So I have improved most of my relationships, and that made such a change that I would say today I feel really happy where I am when it comes to friends and family, and feeling like I'm looking forward to something. I wake up and I'm happy, and I have somebody to go to the cinema, or spending the afternoon together, or drinking a coffee, and very grateful for that. What has helped me the most was to search on a Facebook group for new people, and I met quite a lot of, it feels a bit like dating, just friendship dating, but it has helped a lot. But also, like, because I did all the work in personal development school, I used that obviously for the friends that I hadn't seen so much anymore, or kind of felt a bit growing apart, and we managed to get back to a place where I feel like I'm a good friend, and feeling like I see them a little more often, and yeah, that made a big difference. So even though I didn't complete the 4 friends goal, in the end it was something I wanted to feel better about my social network, and I do today. So I would still say that goal was accomplished. Next goal was to keep my house declutter free and to clean and tidy up on a regular basis, because that was something I definitely didn't do. I'm not a person who likes to tidy up and cleaning. I always hated that. I remember when I was a child, I used to have a dice and throwing that, and when it said like 2 points on it, then I would tidy up 2 things, and obviously it would take ages to tidy up anything, and I'm still like that, but I have gotten better. I would say the most important habit that I have been working on is something that's the Fly Lady called weekly home blessing, and it's the idea of working in every room just for like 5 minutes, and I do that very regularly every week, and because of that my house stays quite tidy on like a surface level, and then obviously sometimes I have to clean it more. But also with that, I have worked really on unloading the dishwasher or loading it every day, and that also made like a big change, because when I'm already starting with that, I also want to clean the rest of the kitchen, and now it's very rare that it looks totally chaotic. I managed to keep it on a quite good level, and yeah, I would say this daily habit and the weekly habit has changed and made achieving this goal possible. Goal number 8 was to create a budget and close it out every month and track my expenses weekly. And this is something I also have had as a goal for many years. Sometimes I have been more consistent with tracking it. Actually I have some planners there that are also budget planners where I just kind of written down. I've tried to have a cash envelope system. Yeah, I tried quite a lot of different things, and I also decided this year this is something I would start first in quarter 3, which I did. I started with it in September. It took me a while to find out what works best. I could see that just writing it down didn't really do it for me. I really wanted to have a progress bar in a way. Didn't really enjoy the idea of having monthly budgets, and there's an app called Weekly, or I think Weekly Budget, I'm not sure. It's an American app, so I wasn't able to access it through the Norwegian app store. But in the end, I ended up with using my Good Budget app and just having 5 envelopes, week 1 to week 5, and using that. And obviously the first month it was a bit rocky in the start, but now it's working really well. I really enjoy it. I think it makes so much sense for my brain, seeing how much money do I really have. I'm not thinking much about my fixed expenses. I have just my variable expenses in these weekly budgets, and yeah, I really enjoy using it, and yeah, it makes me really happy that I found something that I can stay consistent with. So we're just gonna continue with that through 2025. And I guess what I've learned from it is just you have to try, you have to keep going and trying new things until you find something that works for you, but you also have to give yourself time to try it out, to really see, giving yourself several weeks to work on something, to see, okay, this is working, this is not, I would like to have this, maybe we can tweak that. You definitely need some data to troubleshoot when you feel like this is not working. I would say that's the most that I learned from this goal. My last goal that I've achieved was to complete a language course in Italian. This was quite spontaneous that I started going to a language course, and with that I also studying at Bubble. They have an Italian course for beginners that I have started with. I chose on purpose not to have a very smart goal in reaching a certain number of words or reaching a certain level, because in the beginning when you start, it's more about that you're actually doing something over a longer period, that you actually first really get into it. It's a bit like the reading goal. You first have to start very small, just getting back into opening a book and read, and then you can go from there, and then you can increase and exceed your goals. And this is the same here. I decided I will just complete my language course, which was 3 months, and then we go from there. And obviously for 2025 I have a goal of reaching A2 level, but for now I'm totally happy that I have completed the language course. There were several people who didn't show up in the last session, so there are definitely some people who haven't completed it, and I feel really proud because I was definitely one of them in previous years. So much has changed, and just so proud that I have learned a bit Italian. I'm not really able to say a lot, but it will get better over time. We just have to keep going. Small steps will get you there. You just have to keep going. The only goal I didn't achieve was my nutrition goal. It was quite ambitious in my opinion, besides having like all the other goals, and it was to eat 5 portions of fruit and veggies and 2 portions of fish and legumes weekly. And I came from a place where I would eat fish maybe once a month, legumes maybe, I don't know, twice a year, and probably eating like 2 portions of fruit and veggies per day. So now I'm in a place where I eat around 4 portions of fruit and veggies every day, and then I have legumes, I would say twice a month, and fish 2 to 3 times a month. It really depends. So things have improved tremendously. I have worked a lot on the single things, but it takes so much longer than I expected. And I would say if that had been my only goal for the year, then I probably would have reached it. But yeah, I did really working on really small goals there as well. For example, bringing a fruit to lunch, that I have it as a dessert there, practicing to have like, yeah, a fruit as a dessert, and that works really, really well. But for example, switching from my favorite often meat-based foods to more with legumes or plant-based, yeah, it hasn't been that easy. We're just gonna continue on that journey. I won't have it as a goal for next year, but I probably still will reach it at one point. I'm pretty sure about that. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. This is probably a very long video. Thank you for staying here, and I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and I see you very soon again. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.